when I knew that we were going to chat, I looked up this research because I started to look at professions the professions who people trust the least, and come across, and I looked at the UK one. There's a big report that's the Ipsos Mori Veracy Index report of the least trusted and the most trusted professionals. Portugal actually also has one, which is called Marcas de Confiança. And it was stunning to see that not only did those professions kind of match, so between the US, the UK and Portugal, these professions are more or less the same. Not only do they kind of match, but they've remained the same, as in the least trusted professions remained the same at the top for the last 14, 15 years. And I only looked at the last 14, 15 years. If I probably would have gone further back, probably not much changed. But check this out, Todd. The professions at the top, least trusted, are brand executive, advertising executives, politicians, government ministers, journalists, business leaders, car salesmen car salesmen are also there. Oh my gosh. I mean, what do you think it's going to take for companies to turn this around?
It's going to be hard.
And business leaders to turn this around.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes a couple of bad characters to sully everything. And so, if we believe that at some point we're going to turn around the whole perception, that's going to be hard. But one of the lenses that I look at everything through is this lens of the history of sales, right? And if you just look back 106 years ago, so 1916, it was a time during the Industrial Revolution when sales was trusted and respected. And part of the reason it was trusted and respected is that everybody came to the sale. Well, there's two reasons. Number one is, remember, at the time, 1916, the telephone wasn't even pervasive. There was no email. There was no, sales had to be done face to face, human to human, look you in the eyes, build relationships in the right way. And as a result, that couldn't help but elevate the profession, right? So that's number one. But number two is, it was a time during the Industrial Revolution that salespeople recognized their role in society. And that role was to make the companies they're selling to better, because when they do better, they hire more. And when they hire more, the economy grows. And when the economy grows, we all win, right? And salespeople were the key to bringing the right solutions to the right companies at the right price at the right time, and doing it honestly so that they would have successful outcomes, helped everybody. And so that was 106 years ago. Salespeople, when the economy was doing well, the salespeople parades for them, right? And when the economy was doing bad, it's like, salespeople, come on, get to it. What are you doing wrong, right? It was salespeople. Now, that eroded over time. I have a personal opinion on it that we've taken the incredible gifts of technology and ruined them, essentially, right? Like the telephone. We get this incredible gift that allows us to just pick up the phone. I don't even have to leave. I don't even have to put shoes on. I can talk to my customers. How great. And we ruined it, right? By hammering people and slamming them with, robocalls eventually and all that, to the point where technologies actually had to be created to prevent salespeople from selling, like caller ID. Dr. Shirley Jackson, amazing woman. You look at her history. It's incredible. But then that didn't work. The government had to get involved. Like here in the US, we've got something called the Do Not Call Registry, which you can put your phone numbers on to prevent salespeople from selling to. There's 221 million phone numbers on it. That's insane. And that's because of salespeople. We did the same thing with email. Incredible gift. Send you a note, hit send, boom, right in your inbox. How cool is that for salespeople? We ruined it. Technologies had to be created. Government had to get involved. Here in the US, we have the Can-Spam Act of 2005, preventing salespeople from doing that, right? And so I believe that those are two elements. We lost our face to the customers, right? Trust was built human to human, flesh to flesh, handshakes, eyes to eyes. And we lost that through these mechanisms that require, that were Our lens became scale instead of relationships and doing right by the customers and growing that way. And as a result, I think we lost out on a lot. I think there's an opportunity to get it back as I look at the sales tech stack logo charts that are like, there's a billion of them all crammed on the little, there's so much sales tech. We got to use it for good, not evil, right? If you're thinking, I'm going to use this to scale, you're doing it wrong, right? Take a step back and go, I need to think through the lens of the customer. How am I going to help the customer better predict and achieve better outcomes? And if I can use that through technology to gain some efficiencies to get to more customers that we match up with, and we're going to create better outcomes, cool. If the lens is myself, I'm going to get more opportunity. I'm going to hammer these people and play the numbers game. You're doing it wrong. Stop it. I think that's one key area where we've got an opportunity to take a step back and look at the way that we're viewing our profession. And over time, those are going to be the companies that win, especially in this era of the pervasiveness of information. And the companies that lose are the ones that continue to do it wrong. And eventually they're going to die out. They just have to. That's how this goes. I don't think we can just hit it with a hammer. I think it's going to be evidence-based.
I hope so. I love the fact that as clients, customers, we can vote with our wallet. We could vote with how we make choices. And I think the more empowered customers are, the more companies will have to succumb to treating them the way they should be treated.
So for anybody who's listening that's in a commoditized space, right, where there's lots of companies and organizations that are doing essentially the same thing, you can differentiate. You can't really differentiate on what you sell, right, because it's a commodity. You can differentiate on your price. That sucks. It's a race to the bottom. You can differentiate on the journey and the outcomes, or you could differentiate in the way that you sell. I'm seeing more and more companies that are successfully embracing these concepts just to create a different differentiator that's founded on trust, where they become the person that's doing the homework for the buyer instead of the person that's trying to sell them and actually driving them to do more homework, right? And so like one of those companies is in the antivirus space. It was the one that had that award slide in it. But there's 56 companies that are in essentially the exact same space. And they're winning because they're differentiating in the way they sell, which is through building relationships, through leading with transparency. I'll leave you with this line. Our perception of a reward is biased by the journey to get there. All of us in sales are doing this, right? We're doing this through, we position a big reward, but if you're lying to the customer, the journey just got harder. If you're making them run through hoops to even see it, to get a price, all of that stuff, the line just got longer, right? If there's a bunch of handoffs, the line just got longer. Our perception of reward is biased by the journey to get there. There are certain steps that a customer needs to take, but when you set that expectation and you consistently meet it, for example, taco shop down the street, at noon, there's always 10 people in line. You go over there and there's 10 people in line, you're like, cool, we'll wait in line when that's the expectation, but we won't when we're blinded by the journey and the perception of the journey being harder than we thought. So for all of you, embrace transparency because that does the homework for the buyer. Set proper expectations up front as to what that journey is going to be like. And when you consistently meet that, you'll have customers that buy, they buy faster, they buy more, they stay longer, and they become advocates for it. I'm a huge believer that transparency and setting proper expectations is the clearest path to the most success, especially here in the 2020s, where the world has changed and the pervasiveness of information and sharing has exploded. Now is the time.
That to me sounds like such a beautiful future. I mean, it brings a tear to my eye. Imagine. I mean, everyone, you guys have got to pick up a copy of this book. I think if there's any doubt in your heart or your mind that honesty and transparency can actually help you to sell, Todd just smashes it to smithereens, and I really relate to what you say, because I like to talk a lot about integrity in sales. Our sales profession as being a profession that's actually aligned to integrity and excellence and a personal commitment to what we do and how we serve our customers and our clients. And so it just aligns so beautifully to that. And the fact that you then come in and you give everybody these really clear, practical ideas on how to implement this clarity on different stages of the sales process just makes it so easy. It's beautiful. It's melody. But I'll tell you, it's not melody, Todd, because it's not about giving you an easy ride here. Oh no, sorry. I have a bit of a question for you. I have a scenario for you, Todd. Are you ready, Todd?
Bring it on. I'm ready.
All right. We are meeting here now to interview for the bestest job in the world in your eyes. And I'm the interviewer. I ask you, why should I pick you? How do you respond?
Well, I think first of all, it starts with going back to the job description, go through the requirements and ask yourself, do I actually meet each one of these requirements? Like that's where your answer is going to start. And I know, as crazy as this sounds, embrace which ones you don't. Right? So for example, this just happened, it wasn't that long ago. I had a rep that just called me and was like, hey, Todd, I'm interviewing for the bestest sales job of all time. Like, I can't wait, right, for this job. But Todd, it's saying that I need to have 5 years of SaaS technology sales experience. I don't have any, right? I've been in sales for 5 years, but SaaS tech, I've never done it. What do I do? How do I embrace that? I'm going into a panel interview for this next one. And I was like, lead with it. Like, what? And I was like, I would walk into that interview, and before anybody starts, because that's the elephant in the room. If there's an elephant in the room, every word that's going to come out of your mouth is going to go through a filter on the way to their brain, the middle of their brain, the limbic, which is making the emotional connection to you and the trust building, and they're just like triggering the decision. And here's what that sounds like. Hey, I appreciate you all bringing me in here. I'm clearly super excited about this opportunity. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. But before we get too deep into this, I just want to talk about one issue that I'm sure is going to come up. Your job description asks for 5 years of tech SaaS sales experience. And as you can see on my resume, I don't have any. And I'm guessing that the people that I'm interviewing against have some. Can we address that first? Because if that's going to be a showstopper, maybe we save each other a bunch of time here. But again, there's a reason why I'm here, and there's a reason why you invited me in. So let's address that. He's like, I'll do that. He called me 2 days later saying that he got an offer immediately, right? And he said that embracing the truth, that all of a sudden they're all talking about that as an issue. And they jump to, hey, the reason that we brought you in here is we love this, 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 and this. You're right. We know that you don't have that, but we're feeling like we can look past that and get you the expertise that you need. But he was like, the whole demeanor of the room went down. It felt less like an interviewee and an interviewer. And instead, it was me sitting across a table with people that had a common outcome in mind, which is to make sure that I'm the right fit for them and they're the right fit for me. The whole demeanor of the room changed. That's transparency, right? And so going back to your question, if there was something that maybe if I was sitting in their shoes, I would look at my resume, my background, my experience, and want a question, start with it, lead with it, clear that elephant. Like, hey, listen, if I'm sitting in your shoes, can I just start with the one thing that you might be concerned about and address that? And if that's going to be an issue, let's part as friends right now. It's amazing how that builds trust and builds that connection, clears the filter in their brain. That's the, I'm being influenced. And instead, you have a really, really good conversation that leads to an outcome of this is either the right fit or not the right fit as quickly as possible.
And you're hired.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You didn't even see my resume.
So now, colleagues and friends, I thank you again for your time, for your trust. Todd, we'll see you at Salesshaker, if not before.
Cool. And if you ever want to have me back, I've absolutely had a blast on this conversation.
Oh, I tell you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We wish you all the success in the world. To you watching, we're keeping all this valuable content, practical ideas, tools, a library, and much more in our amazing virtual village at salesshaker.com. Check it out. Until then, sell with value. We'll see you soon.